Hello, today we'll be reviewing The Iron Claw. Okay, so first of all I want to talk about the technical aspects first. So yeah, the music was great, the acting was phenomenal, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but I'm just going to say that I loved everyone that they chose to be the brothers, the family. I want to especially mention Lily James, who I think is a great actress and always disappears into her roles. And I also especially want to mention Zac Efron, because lately he's been choosing a lot of very interesting projects, and when something like this comes out, which is like especially good, it really brings the best out of him. So yeah, the acting was great, the cinematography was also great, the editing was great, it's a very well crafted movie, so yeah, that's a huge positive. Okay, so the main reason why I'm doing the review of this film, a film that is a little bit old now, like over 3 or 4 months, is because of the relationship between the family and the way in which their parents failed them by trying to help them. Because I mean, the mother tried to help them by bringing religion into their house, and their father tried to help them by bringing wrestling into their life and by trying to make them the strongest, the most successful, really the best that they could be. But the ultimate irony is that the reason that the curse happens, the reason why one of his kids starts taking steroids, the other ends up hurting himself and being unable to play, and the other ends up killing himself, are all direct consequences of pushing their kids too far. So yeah, that was something that I found really interesting. But apart from this, the other thing that I really liked was how much they showed how much the brothers cared for each other. Like in all the scenes in which they are supporting each other, like bringing their brother into his concert that his mother wasn't allowing him to go, or like when they were in the pool, or like for example little moments like when Kerry smiles to his parents and you can tell that he's faking it, but then he smiles to his brothers and you can tell that it's real. So yeah, I really found this family dynamic very interesting. So yeah, one of my favorite parts of the movie was seeing how Zac's character becomes more and more superstitious throughout the film. And one of the best scenes was when he became so obsessed with the idea of the curse that he decided to change the surname of his kid. So yeah, that was a very interesting scene. And of course, a very ironic scene when you realize that most of the problems were the result of their upbringing, were the result of the mentality that his father had of trying to make them as perfect as possible, as successful as possible. So yeah, I found that very sad, but also very interesting. So one thing I really enjoyed about the movie was how when you saw all the bad things happen, one after another, you started to really think that the curse was real. It's not after you think a little bit about it when you realize that really everything bad happened because of the mentality of the father. But really, when you were watching the movie, it was super effective. Maybe the first death wasn't really surprising because you could really tell that they were setting up that he was going to die, but the two that came after were really surprising, especially for me, because I have to clarify that I'm reviewing this movie purely as a movie. I really don't know anything about the real story because I'm not a wrestling fan, and I'm not really sure if this movie is super true to the events. So yeah, so I'm just basing this critique as a film. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, it was super effective, especially the other two deaths. First with the kid that was also a musician, that you felt super bad for him because you could tell that maybe he could have had a very good or even great future if he had pursued his musical dreams, but because he was pursuing the dream of his father, he ended up like hurting himself, and that's why he couldn't play, and that's why he ended up dying. So you really felt very sad for him. But the other death was also super interesting, but not really for that reason, but more by a choice that they made, which was that when he was like speeding up with the motorbike, you could feel that something bad was going to happen, and you were kind of expecting to see the accident, or maybe to even see him in the hospital. But instead, they decided to do something that I found much more interesting, which was directly cutting to him without the leg. It was much more surprising really, and much more effective than showing the accident, ironically enough. So yeah, I really think that was a very interesting choice. Something that I also found fascinating was how Zac's character ended up in a point in which he believed the curse so much that he started not being with his family. He started living in the gym, and he started to treat wrestling as a kind of masochism. And really, the editing here was superb because with every hit that he took during these moments, you could feel the pain and the anguish that he had. So yeah, I mean, the editing in this movie was great, and you can really feel it in a scene like this. So yeah, but I think that the best part of the movie is the way that they decided to showcase heaven, because it's super different and super original. At least I haven't seen a heaven depicted like this before, because usually when you see a movie and a character dies, you can see everything white, everything pristine, but in this movie they decided to take a different approach and make it more minimalistic, with them in the boat, with them hanging together all three, and it was really emotional and really powerful. So yeah, so I think that the choice that they made and the way in which they decided to show heaven heaven and all of the three brothers hugging each other was probably my favorite part of the film. Either that or, like I said before, the irony between his father trying to help his children and really fucking them all up. So yeah, so that was my last positive. And now we have to talk about the negatives. Oh, we don't have really negatives. Sorry for the bad acting, but we don't really have negatives because I really enjoyed this movie and I really have nothing to complain about it. So yeah, so that's it basically. So yeah, so that was my review. I know that it's probably way shorter than the others because I don't really have negatives for the film, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it, so I'm not going to complain about something that I really have no negatives about. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and please, if you have any recommendations for films, for TV shows or whatever, please put them down in the comments because I'm really interested in making things that you're going to enjoy. So yeah, until next time.